Joseph Stalin, one of the most controversial and influential figures of the 20th century, remains a subject of intense debate among historians, political analysts, and the general public. His name is synonymous with absolute power, ruthless authoritarianism, and the transformation of the Soviet Union into a global superpower. Yet, it is also associated with unimaginable suffering, mass repression, and the deaths of millions. To understand Stalin is to delve into the complexities of human ambition, ideology, and the consequences of unchecked power. This video aims to explore the life, rise, and legacy of Joseph Stalin, a man who shaped the course of history in ways that continue to resonate today. Born Ioseb Vissarionis D. Jugishvili on December 18, 1878, in the small town of Gori, Georgia, Stalin's early life was marked by hardship and struggle. The son of a cobbler and a washerwoman, he grew up in a poor family in the Caucasus region of the Russian Empire. His childhood was far from idyllic. His father was an abusive alcoholic, and his mother, deeply religious, hoped her son would become a priest. This humble beginning stands in stark contrast to the immense power Stalin would later wield. His early exposure to poverty and inequality likely shaped his worldview, fostering a deep resentment toward the ruling elite and a desire to upend the existing social order. Stalin's journey from a seminarian to a revolutionary is a testament to his determination and cunning. He attended the Tiflis Theological Seminary, where he was exposed to radical ideas and revolutionary literature. It was here that he began to question the authority of the Russian Orthodox Church and the Tsarist regime. By the early 1900s, Stalin had fully embraced Marxism and joined the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, RSDLP, aligning himself with the Bolshevik faction led by Vladimir Lenin. His early revolutionary activities included organizing strikes, distributing propaganda, and engaging in bank robberies to fund the Bolshevik cause. These actions earned him a reputation as a committed and ruthless operative, willing to do whatever it took to advance the revolution. The 1917 Russian Revolution marked a turning point in Stalin's life and the history of the world. As a key member of the Bolshevik Party, he played a significant role in the overthrow of the provisional government and the establishment of Soviet power. However, it was in the aftermath of the revolution that Stalin began to consolidate his influence. Appointed General Secretary of the Communist Party in 1922, he used this seemingly bureaucratic position to build a network of loyalists and outmaneuver his rivals. Following Lenin's death in 1924, Stalin emerged as the leader of the Soviet Union after a bitter power struggle with figures like Leon Trotsky, who advocated for a more internationalist approach to revolution. Stalin's vision, by contrast, was focused on socialism in one country, emphasizing the need to strengthen the Soviet Union before exporting revolution abroad. Stalin's rise to power was marked by a combination of political acumen and brutal repression. He systematically eliminated his rivals, real or perceived, through purges, show trials, and executions. The Great Purge of the 1930s, also known as the Great Terror, saw millions of people arrested, exiled, or killed. Party officials, military leaders, intellectuals, and ordinary citizens were accused of being enemies of the state and subjected to horrific punishments. This climate of fear and paranoia served to solidify Stalin's grip on power, ensuring that no one could challenge his authority. Yet, it also left the Soviet Union deeply scarred, with a legacy of trauma that would endure for generations. Under Stalin's rule, the Soviet Union underwent a dramatic transformation. His policies of rapid industrialization and collectivization sought to modernize the country and turn it into a global superpower. The five-year plans, launched in the late 1920s, aimed to boost industrial output and develop heavy industries like steel, coal, and machinery. While these policies achieved significant economic growth, they came at a tremendous human cost. The forced collectivization of agriculture led to widespread famine, particularly in Ukraine, where the Holodomor of 1932 to 1933 resulted in the deaths of millions. Stalin's insistence on meeting production targets at any cost created a culture of fear and inefficiency, with workers and managers alike facing severe consequences for failing to meet quotas. Stalin's leadership during World War II further cemented his place in history. The Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany was a defining moment, not only for the country but for the entire world. Stalin's ability to mobilize the Soviet economy and military, despite the immense devastation caused by the war, demonstrated his strategic prowess. The Battle of Stalingrad, in particular, is often cited as a turning point in the conflict, marking the beginning of the end for Hitler's ambitions. However, the war also revealed the darker aspect of Stalin's rule: his willingness to sacrifice millions of lives, his brutal treatment of Soviet soldiers and civilians, and his post-war expansionist policies in Eastern Europe underscored the ruthlessness that defined his leadership. The post-war period saw Stalin's influence extend beyond the borders of the Soviet Union. The emergence of the Cold War and the division of Europe into rival blocs were direct consequences of his policies. Stalin's establishment of satellite states in Eastern Europe and his support for communist movements around the world positioned the Soviet Union as a global superpower, rivaling the United States. Yet, this period also saw increased repression within the Soviet Union, as Stalin sought to eliminate any potential threats to his rule. The late 1940s and early 1950s were marked by renewed purges, censorship, and the promotion of a cult of personality that portrayed Stalin as an infallible leader. Stalin's death on March 5, 1953, marked the end of an era. His passing was met with a mixture of grief, relief, and uncertainty. While many mourned the loss of the man who had led the Soviet Union through its darkest hours, others saw his death as an opportunity for change. The subsequent de-Stalinization campaign, initiated by his successor Nikita Khrushchev, sought to dismantle the cult of personality and address the excesses of Stalin's rule. However, the legacy of Stalinism proved difficult to erase. The Soviet Union continued to grapple with the consequences of his policies, and the debate over his impact remains unresolved to this day. To understand Joseph Stalin is to confront the duality of his legacy. On one hand, he was a visionary leader who transformed the Soviet Union into a global superpower, defeated fascism, and inspired millions with the promise of socialist utopia. On the other hand, he was a tyrant whose policies caused untold suffering, whose paranoia led to the deaths of millions, and whose rule left a lasting scar on the collective memory of the Soviet people. Stalin's life and career raised profound questions about the nature of power, the cost of progress, and the limits of human ambition. As we conclude this exploration of Joseph Stalin's life and legacy, it's clear that his story is one of contradictions and complexities. On one hand, he was a leader who transformed the Soviet Union into an industrial and military powerhouse, playing a pivotal role in defeating Nazi Germany during World War II. On the other hand, his rule was marked by unimaginable suffering, repression, and loss of life. The question of how to remember Stalin, as a hero, a tyrant, or something in between, remains a topic of intense debate. What can we learn from Stalin's life? Perhaps the most important lesson is the danger of unchecked power and the consequences of prioritizing ideology over humanity. Stalin's policies, while ambitious, often came at an enormous human cost, reminding us of the need for accountability, compassion, and ethical leadership. At the same time, his story underscores the resilience of the human spirit, as millions of people endured unimaginable hardships and yet contributed to the survival and growth of their nation. As we reflect on Stalin's legacy, let us also remember the countless individuals whose lives were forever changed by his actions. Their stories, often overshadowed by the larger narrative of history, deserve to be heard and remembered. By studying figures like Stalin, we gain a deeper understanding of the past and the forces that shape our world today. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. If you found this video informative, please give a thumbs up, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts on Joseph Stalin and his legacy. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the stories that shape our world.